There are afternoons when all you want is for your child to sit still for 10 minutes so they can finish their homework. But your child gets up after 2 minutes. Hands tapping on the table, legs constantly shaking, eyes drifting toward the window. When you remind them, they answer right away, then lose focus again. You start to wonder, why can't my child sit still like other kids? If you're raising a child with ADHD, you may be familiar with that feeling. Exhaustion, helplessness, and sometimes worry about the future. But there is one very important truth. Children with ADHD are not lacking willpower. They are lacking self-regulation skills. And this skill is not taught through long lectures. It is built through experience, especially through play. If you want to learn how to turn chaotic moments into opportunities to train your child's brain, stay until the end, because what you're about to hear may change the way you see simple everyday play. Let's start with a very familiar game, freeze dance. You turn on the music. Your child dances freely around the room. Laughter fills the space. Then you suddenly stop the music. Both of you have to freeze. It sounds simple, but for a child with ADHD, that moment of stop immediately is actually a workout for the brain's brakes. The ADHD brain often runs fast and intensely, but inhibitory control, the ability to stop at the right moment, is typically weaker. Freeze dance forces the brain to shift from movement to control in an instant. That's practicing impulse inhibition in a joyful environment, not sitting still under pressure, but stopping in the middle of laughter. Another simple but powerful game is red light, green light. You call out green light and your child runs. Red light, they must stop immediately. That moment of waiting is crucial. When you switch roles and let your child be the leader, they learn to regulate not only their own body but also take responsibility for the rules of the game. Self-regulation is not just about stopping. Self-regulation is about acting with intention. If these games seem simple but meaningful, you might save this and try one tonight. Sometimes change begins with something as small as a song. Simon Says works the same way. When you say Simon Says touch your head, your child follows the instruction. But if you simply say touch your head without the phrase Simon Says, your child has to inhibit that immediate response. Children with ADHD often react faster than they think. Simon Says forces them to listen, carefully process the information, and only then take action. That pause, that tiny space between hearing and doing, is exactly where self-regulation skills are built. But self-regulation is not just about controlling behavior. It also involves emotions. Imagine you and your child playing an emotion guessing game. You make an angry face. Your child guesses. Then, your child acts out a sad face, and you guess. It sounds like a simple game, but it's actually practice in emotional recognition. When a child can say, I'm angry or I'm frustrated, they gain another option besides exploding. Naming an emotion creates distance, and distance creates control. Or you can role-play situations. What if someone grabs your toy? Your child can try different responses in a safe environment. Role-playing allows children to practice handling conflict before they face it in real life. Practicing in pretend situations helps them stay calmer in real ones. If you've ever worried about your child's social skills, these small games can be a powerful starting point. And if this resonates with you, consider sharing it with another parent raising a child with ADHD. None of us should have to do this alone. In addition, children with ADHD often struggle with slowing down. Their brains crave speed, movement, new stimulation. That's why activities that build careful, deliberate focus are so important. For example, sorting games. Sit with your child and say, let's pick the red ones first, slowly. Carefully choosing one item at a time helps train intentional focus or blowing bubbles. It sounds almost too simple. But to keep the bubble from popping, a child has to control their breath, slow and steady. Slow breathing calms the nervous system. When you say, let's blow the big feelings out, You're teaching your child how to regulate their physiology. Self-regulation starts in the body. A calm body helps stabilize emotions. Another important strategy is turning everyday tasks into challenges. Children with ADHD get bored easily with repetitive activities. Cleaning up toys can become a competition. Let's see who can pick up the most in 2 minutes. Add a timer. Add a playful element. A timer helps children visualize time, something many kids with ADHD struggle with. When a child knows there are 3 minutes left, the brain has a clear reference point. Assigning responsibility works the same way. Give your child roles like snack helper or line leader. Roles create structure, and structure helps the ADHD brain function more effectively. Your child isn't just learning to complete tasks, they're learning how to persist until the end. Throughout this process, there is one thing you should not overlook: praise the effort. Not just when the outcome is perfect, but when your child is trying. I really like how you kept your body still when the music stopped. I noticed you waited for your turn. Timely praise helps the brain register positive behavior. What gets attention gets stronger. And one final key: consistency. One game won't create lasting change. But when these activities become daily habits, your child's brain gradually builds new pathways. Self-regulation is not an inborn talent. It's a skill that is trained. If you are raising a child with ADHD, you are on a long journey. There will be exhausting days. There may be moments when you doubt yourself, but every time you choose freeze dance instead of yelling, every time you use a timer instead of pressure, every time you praise effort instead of criticizing, you are building your child's ability to self-regulate. And that is a gift that will stay with them for life. If you'd like to continue learning practical brain-based strategies that are easy to apply for children with ADHD, follow along so you don't miss the next content. Because sometimes the biggest change isn't in the child, it's in how we choose to support their brain. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional diagnosis or intervention. Every child has unique needs, especially children with ADHD. If your child is experiencing significant difficulties with behavior, attention, or is engaging in dangerous behaviors, please consult a physician or licensed mental health professional for a proper evaluation and appropriate support.